Here we go. Anyway, this is from the Martinellis, a 9th century collection of stories about Saint Martin of Tours, the holy monk bishop of Tours, with beautiful Carolingian calligraphy. This is again, we're skipping around. This is in Paris. The sign on the front of a patisserie in Paris, of which there are many. This is probably a 19th century sign. I don't even remember which where was this? Oh no, this was in Perigueux, excuse me. This was in southern France, in Perigueux, which is east of Bordeaux. And beautiful example of signage. This is an old, this must be, yeah, this is 16th century. This is not a Roman, ancient Roman sculpture. This is, just shows Hercules fighting with some monster. He's crushing the giant Ponte. I can't quite read that, but Perigueux in France was has a lot of Roman ruins in it because that was part of the ancient Roman province of Gaul. The size of the colony apparently was smaller than Lyon at that time. Lyon, as some of you may know, especially Carl, was a huge colony in Roman times, and Perigueux was not quite as noteworthy, but it did have. There are a lot of Roman ruins, vestiges of villas. This is not. I don't think this is a. No, this is in French. This is a 17th century inscription in Roman majuscules that was on a building in Perigueux. This house was built in 1604 by Mr. Jacques. Notice the lowercase q here. Jacques Norard of Commande Siège. I can't quite read this in. I think his bodyguards and His Majesty. Anyway, this was an inscription on a building, and we're still in Perigueux here. This is another inscription. I'm sorry?
In Lyon, there's a wonderful Roman Gallo museum that is full of inscriptions that are crude like that it's just fantastic. Lyon is one of the greatest places in France to see Roman stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. I never visited Lyon, but I would love to. And this this archaeological museum in Perigueux is it has a small collection of Roman inscriptions. I'm sure it's nothing to compare with the one they have in Lyon. So, but and it's not very well displayed or documented. All of these large inscriptions are in the central courtyard here in Perigueux, an open air courtyard. So some of them are deteriorating, unfortunately. Um, this is an inscription. I don't have any information about it, but a monumental inscription in Roman. Oh, three fragments of a monumental inscription that may have come from a religious building dug up on Rue Romaine under the Lestrade house, and that it's from the 1st century AD. Yeah, I liked the tail on the Q in this inscription. This is a fragment of an inscription, but this Q is they really went they really knocked themselves out making the tail on that Q. I kind of like that. So I think all three of these blocks, these inscriptions, were found underneath a house, and many of these stones were taken out of quarries or ancient buildings that they found in Perigueux and then reused as building material. So you have a lot of that going on from the Middle Ages going on forward. So um, they were probably buried or used as walls or building materials in medieval or later buildings. So this is not an ancient statue. This is, I believe, 18th century, 19th century statue, which is a copy of an ancient Roman bust of Hadrian, but it's a beautiful copy. I'm not quite sure how they identified it as Hadrian, but I guess he looks like a Roman emperor, or they recognize him somehow. Um, oh, I'm sorry. This is a 16th century statue. Um, that became the property of the state in 1892, probably given to the state. Now we're back in Paris, and this is in the church of Saint-Pierre et Paul, Saint Peter and Paul, in Paris. And here you have a slogan scribbled on a column in the church, and this was during or immediately after the revolution, and it says République française ou la mort. That is the French Republic or death. This was a person who is definitely in favor uh, of establishing a republic and eliminating the monarchy. And it looks like they tried, maybe they tried removing it, but they never were able to. So that's right there in the church. You can see it while you're going to mass. Back to the National Library in Berlin. This is a 2-page spread from that 9th century Carolingian manuscript with the uh, beautiful illumination. Well, uncial illumination and uncial calligraphy and illumination. Collection of poems by the holy monk Bishop of Tours. This is another manuscript from the Berlin National Library with Syriac calligraphy in it. Yeah, and I didn't translate that. This is beautiful. 18th century. And they have a huge collection of Eastern calligraphy in this museum. mainly collect as which came to them as part of the Phillips collection, and there was another collector. This is the Erfurter Bible, made in the 14th century. Um, this is the largest parchment Hebrew Bible known. It has um, it contains the Aramaic translation of the Bible called the Targum, and the Masorah is written in what they call a micrograph, which is very, very tiny, um, very tiny Hebrew writing. The Bible itself is huge. I'd say it's about, how high was it? It was like at least 20, 25 inches high. Um, um, and this is typical of the Ashkenaz book decoration, that is Eastern and Central European Jewish tradition. Um, this is the beginning of the book of Misha. Now, this manuscript was severely damaged in World War II. I believe the library was bombed um, in the 40s, and so there was a lot of damage. But they managed to restore it, and it is still apparently being restored, this manuscript.
Raoul, could you
And,
zero in on one of the round illustrations?
oh, one of these? Okay. Yeah. Unfortunately, it's the resolution isn't real good.
I think that's also microcalligraphy.
Yeah, this is I guess this is what they're referring to when they talk about micrograph. Um, Now what this is depicting, it looks like a bird, an eagle, or a or a dove, perhaps.
I had no idea.
Yeah.
He doesn't look happy.
Looks like a warlike, more like a warlike eagle or something. On the right, I don't know what that is. Maybe a griffin on the right or something. I don't know. But these letters here must be about 3 inches high or 2 inches high. These huge letters. So it was beautifully done. 14th century Bible, and this is the facing page, I believe. And I wish there were a Hebrew expert here, then, so that I could know a little more about what this is about. But this is the book of Misha from the Old Testament. Um, that was this is the plaza in front of the Brandenburg Gate. Is that the Brandenburg Gate? Yeah. Um, this is the view from the Akademie der Kunst, which has a calligraphy collection in it, among other things. Um, that's the Academy of Artwork. Um, this is the plaza showing the buildings around on either side of the Brandenburg Gate. Um, I've Andrea and I visited the calligraphy collection at the Akademie der Kunst, and saw some major works by mostly 20th century calligraphers. Unfortunately, I was not able to photograph any of them. They don't allow you to take photographs in there. We actually had to put our phones in a locker before we even went in. So they're real strict about that. And it was
Which
cold.
is sorry, which is a little bit embarrassing, is I think they should change this.
Yeah, I really wish I had been able to take photos of some of those. There were pieces by, I believe they were Gottfried Pot,
Yeah.
there were Fritz Kradel, I believe.
They have lots of wonderful stuff by Hans Schmidt too.
Exactly,
Yeah.
and Friedrich Poppel, and Hermann Kilian, so that's the big ones, but they are still collecting. So some of my pieces are in there. I Thomas Ingmeyer, so contemporary people. But the other thing is, so you are not allowed to take photos, and that makes a research hard. You can order copies from them, so they would make a copy and send it to you, but then or a scan, but then you don't have these close-up photos taken from the side and all these things, what you would normally do to get the details. So and the woman who used to be responsible for it, Susanne Nagel, so she is retired now, and there is no person who followed her, so it's just a librarian. You're not even allowed to touch the pieces, so you can like get another one on the table. You have to call her, so she would take things away and put other things on the table. So it was a little bit weird compared to my experience from the Klingsborg Museum. That's totally different.
See,
Oh yeah.
Andrea, I think the day that I was there was the first day that I met you. You were there with Thomas, and I was teaching,
Exactly.
and it was like 2011, I think. And at that time, they would let you take pictures with film, but not with digital, because Suzanne said it's just too easy for digital to end up online. But they they were okay with you taking film photos. That may have changed by now, but because that was years ago. But that's sort of what I remember from that day.
Yeah, and the thing was, Susanne was a very kind person. She would whisper things like, when nobody's looking, just take your photos because I know you need it for research. Or they once took us into the underground archive because they are keeping huge works from Hans Schmidt that would even be too big for the table there. So she showed us everything going like underground, and but now with that young librarian, that was really weird, and they should think that over, because I mean, getting them online and then what? It's still I understand, because my work is there and I don't want to have my work published, but in at the Klingsborg Museum, you sign their visitor list, and then you sign in for you're not using that, yeah, or only for your private research, and that would do it. That would do the job. So yeah, I would wish they would change things.
Yeah. Yeah, I was disappointed by that, but I anyway, but we did get to see some beautiful things. They do have low resolution images available online, but they have a big watermark band on the bottom of the photos. So you can't really see the entire piece, and it's a low resolution. I was never able to download higher resolution photos from their website. So they really do not want anyone um, publishing anything or or taking photos. No. So which is too bad. Anyway, they were very nice. They had to apparently bring up some of this stuff by hand because the elevator was broken, if I understood correctly.
Yeah,
So it was very kind of them to bring those up. And here we are in the dome, the old cathedral of Berlin, which was completely rebuilt in the in the 19th century, if I'm correct. This is some beautiful fracture calligraphy on a bronze tomb, I believe. But I just liked this calligraphy. The long S and the typical fracture letters with one side vertical and the other side straight, just the rounded sides on some of the letters. And this R here, this R rotunda, which is unusual. Anyway, that was in the the dome, the old cathedral of Berlin. I don't know whose tomb this was. I can't remember.
So, Raul, that R is a perfect ligature with an E. So amazing.
This here?
Yeah. Isn't that an ER there?
Yes,
It
that
is.
is a ligature, yeah.
Yeah.
It says, because I can read the word, it says brothers. It's an ER. Yeah, that's true.
It's amazing.
The Bruda, yeah.
Yeah.
And it has a curly Q on the end, too.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And this S, this is, I mean, yeah, this long S here, kind of joined to the T.
Very cool.
So,
And then look what I see now, and I can't really. This looks a little bit weird. So your cursor is on an S, then move 3 letters to the left. That's another S, and it looks totally different. And I only see that now, and I only wonder why it looks so weird. Or is that the light? No, it's not. It's like closed on the left side.
Yeah,
huh.
it looks that way.
Not look the same like the next, like the other one.
To the right of it. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I also wondered
Oh.
over by Gebruder, the word,
Yeah.
is that so don't usually, I don't know if that's an umlaut over the U, but usually then don't they have an E after it if there's an umlaut?
Exactly. So if you put a U and an E, that would be, then you don't need the umlaut.
I know, but it almost looks like that's an umlaut, but
does,
maybe
yeah.
it's not.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I don't know what that is.
Yeah.
And I just saw you see the same weird S on the line above, and you just have it there. So there is a D, E, S, and that's that weird S again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh.
Strange. Could that be a ligature?
Mm,
Oh.
Not connected though.
yeah.
Hmm.
But why would they make that and then the other one, then below on Des below?
Yeah. I've never seen that before, I have
Yeah.
to say, because I had one thought, maybe because it's at the end of the word, but the other one is at the end of the word too. So that's not the thing. I have no idea.
Strange.
Yeah.
I
Would
didn't
this
notice
have
that.
been carved in clay or something when they originally would it have been carved in clay?
Oh, before it
I
was
mean, if this is,
cast.
Before
yeah, so was it, if it was cast, it would have been carved backwards, and
Yeah.
then perhaps that was, or whoever did this, they never finished those S's,
Um,
Yeah.
Yeah, because if you take away the bottom part of that left-hand line, it would just be a regular S.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Possibly, but I can't imagine them making a mistake on that.
I know, on something that
And
incredibly, yeah.
several times too, in 3
Yeah.
places, or at least 3 places. Strange. Brandenburg des Heiligens. That's just not Matthias.
Wait, go to the left again. I think there's another one.
Yeah, I just saw the same
See?
thing.
Yeah, there you
There's one
go.
here,
Yeah,
yeah.
there you go.
Oh.
Yeah.
So it couldn't be a mistake if there's that many of them.
No, there's some reason for strange that's a terminal S.
Oh, and they're after an Okay, they're after an N. Both of those are after an N. But the other
True.
one's
The other
after
ones
an
are
E.
ES,
Yeah,
and that's NS.
yeah, but that's
No,
ES.
not true.
Yeah,
This,
Not true.
but see, they even after between the E and
Yeah.
the S are spelled one way here, and then
yeah,
this ES has a different S in it.
yeah.
Strange.
I guess we're never gonna know.
But I just thought it's that thing. We as calligraphers think, how could that happen? And then I think of that tomb, or what it was, that carving from the Pope, the Francisco's carving, that is on the internet all over for the misspelling. You know what I mean? The just freshly made carving,
Yes. And the
Yes.
spacing.
which is the weirdest thing ever. How could that happen?
Yeah, that was unbelievable, inexcusable,
It's there, and it's the Pope.
especially for the Pope. Yeah, crazy.
They were on a tight budget.
Yeah,
Oh.
yeah. Someone screwed up. So here on a completely different note, this is from the this wasn't the Bibliothek. This was something else. This I can't remember which museum this was, but this was the museum that just had everything. I mean, they had everything. It was a huge museum. It was
That's the Pergamon. The
the which-
Pergamon Museum.
the
I
Pergamon.
guess.
Okay, okay. Um, anyway, this was a beautiful mihrab from a mosque somewhere with this beautiful um, Arabic script in it in ceramic tiles. This just blew me away. I can't read it, but I love the look with the Arab calligraphy incorporated into the design and the decoration. So, and the colors, the two shades of blue and the white and the black and so as a close-up of that Arabic calligraphy. And again, this is done with they have individual pieces of tile. I don't know how they must have completely dismantled this and then reassembled it, or maybe the whole thing was transported as a single block, but it's hard to imagine.
How big was it?
Well, it was about 6 feet high. This whole thing, I'd say, I suppose they could have just taken the whole thing out. I mean, this beige bottom portion, I think, was about 2.5 feet high, and then the remaining portion was at least 3.5 or 4 feet high. So,
Well, Raoul, compared to the entire temple they took in trade for, as I recall, for China, ice in China, and then reconstructed right there in that museum. This would be a piece of cake.
yeah, I suppose, yeah, this would be
It's beautiful.
So
small.
could you
Yeah.
really walk into that curved area? I mean, one, or was that like, am I seeing three-dimensional, so that area was recessed?
Oh, yes, that is recess.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if there was a statue in here. I don't think they usually put statues in mihrabs, but a mihrab is a monument or a decorative or decorated part of a Muslim mosque that is located on the easternmost part of the mosque on the inside. And that indicates the direction of Mecca. And that's the direction in which you are supposed to face when you're praying.
Hmm.
according to Islamic tradition. And so this beautifully decorated and calligraphed wall indicates where you're supposed to face when you're praying. And if I'm correct, I think that's the case. And I don't know what mosque this came from, but whether it came from Saudi Arabia or from Afghanistan or one of those countries, I'm not sure. I did
And
not.
that's marble on the bottom?
I don't know. It was probably marble or some type of. Yeah, it looks like marble. Yes,
Mhm.
really.
Wow.
So, but I guess, yeah, this was about the niche. I would say was about 5 feet high. So, I mean, you could conceivably go in there and stand in there. Although I'm not sure. I can't remember if there was a barrier in front of it, but I'm sure they wouldn't want you doing that.
It just looked like you could.
Yeah, you could. Yeah,
Yeah.
would
If
be.
you were 5 feet or under.
Yeah, yeah. You have to crouch down a little bit. And now we're in Berlin, in the studio of uh, Theo Sohn, and his studio is called Scriptorium Berlin. Theo Sohn, or Adam Klodecki, is a Polish tattoo artist and calligrapher, and he will be giving a presentation at next month's Blackletter Brunch. But he has a large collection of calligraphy on his wall by various calligraphers. I don't know, I don't remember the name of the person who did this. In fact, I shouldn't even be showing these because I didn't get his permission to do so. So I'm going to skip through them. This is someone's. So now here we're in Paris, and we're uh, looking at a vase with Islamic characters on it, Arabic characters inscribed into it. This is at the Cernouchi Museum in Paris, which is a collection of Asian artwork, which was collected by a man named Cernouchi, um, an Italian who who loved just Asian artwork and furniture, and transported his collection from Italy to France and settled here. And this is, I'm not sure if this is a municipal museum of Paris or a national museum. In any case, it has a beautiful, huge collection of Asian artwork. And this is just one tiny piece from that museum. And this is another manuscript that was shown at the Cluny Museum as part of the Paging Through Notre Dame exhibit. And this is one of the manuscripts that belonged to the library at Notre Dame and this was for a 14th century manuscript on parchment. It is Les Postilles de Nicolas de Lyre, that is a collection of sermons of Nicolas de Lyre. And beautiful, beautiful tiny calligraphy with a gold leaf and blue and red ink. And I'm not sure if this is the Book of Daniel or this, I thought it was the sermons of someone. Anyway, this is from most of the manuscripts belonging to Notre Dame Cathedral were confiscated at the end of the 18th century during the Revolution, and became part of the state's collection, and later went into the National Library, the Bibliothèque Nationale de France, the BNF. So most of these manuscripts can be consulted on the BNF's website. In fact, I pulled this particular one off of their website. And that's actually all I have. I didn't have time to put together a lot more. But this it was a great I had a great time in France and in Berlin, seeing all these beautiful things. I don't know what I'm going to do next year. I also saw many photos of many manuscripts and things in Greece. I was in Greece in April in Crete, and we saw a lot of Greek inscriptions. Let me see if I can find something. Nothing like. But one thing that was very interesting was the law of Gortyn, and Gortyn was an ancient Greek city. And I think about the 5th century BC, let's see, in the 5th century BC, they erected a huge wall with a lot of inscriptions on it that were all of the civil law, the rules of civil law of that city, and they placed it on a wall in the forum, or in the central part of the city, and this ended up getting reused, and they actually preserved the wall through the centuries, and the Greeks built it into the base of an amphitheater, and then I guess later on the amphitheater ended up getting buried, and so this inscription is actually preserved there, and it's in archaic Greek. The letters are not the same as Ptolemaic Greek, which they use today. And the site is protected. You cannot walk in here anymore. But it was rediscovered in the 19th century by a French archaeologist who realized that these were not modern inscriptions, that they were very old, and doing more research, he realized that it was probably well before the classic Greek period. He also noticed that there were some blocks from this inscription which had been removed and incorporated into local buildings, modern buildings, and in particular a mill in the same area of Gortyn in Crete. And he managed, after a lot of wangling, to buy one of the stones from the owner of the mill, and later donated it to France, and it is now in the Louvre. But this shows the main part of the inscription. in the wall. And it's difficult to photograph. You can't really see it very well, but it's amazing that it's been preserved. Let me see if I can find the photos I took of what was in the Louvre, because I saw the piece that was brought to the Louvre later on. Where is it? Here it is. Yeah. So this is the now this is one of the stones from that same collection of laws of Gortine, which made it into the Louvre Museum. And here you can see much closer. And these are not classical Greek. This is pre-Greek, and this is written in boustrophodon. That is, the first line is written from right to left. The second line is written from left to right. Third line is written from right to left, etc. That is in the as the ox plows, and what you think is a pie is not a pie, etc. I believe this is, I can't remember. This is not a row, but the same stone, and letters that you don't see today in modern Greek. And this was other things from Greece that were in the Louvre, including a what they call a pitoi, which was a large, very large container for oil or liquid or wine, that was built into the basement of buildings, and to contain wine, or it may have served a ceremonial purpose. The wavy lines represent rope, which was used to strengthen and consolidate the container so that it wouldn't shatter or burst with the weight of the liquid inside. So that's it. And if anyone else has anything they'd like to share, please do. Or the next Blackletter Brunch will be on June, I think will be on June 8th. And Theoson, or Adam Klodecki of Scriptorium Berlin, will give a presentation about his artwork, his calligraphy, and his tattoos, and possibly even a tattoo demonstration. So stay tuned for that. And thank you very much for joining me. And have a great day. Get outside and get some sunshine. Okay.
Hey, Raul.
Thanks,
Can I
Raul.
just
Thank
mention-
you.
Take care. Have a good day. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Raul.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye, Karen.